Hey, hey, hey! Caught me dancing. Happy Monday, y'all, and welcome to Mondays Live with Dr. Nicole Roberts Jones. I'm always excited to be here to pour everything that God pours into me. I pour into you to align biblical principles with your entrepreneurial journey. Listen, this is for whether you've been in business for years or if you're just starting out or you want to start. The content, the context, the insight I give you is for you. So as you come in, please, number one, tell me where you are joining me from today. Say hello, as my grandmother would say, don't walk in this house and not speak. So whether you come here live or you come back and watch the replay, say hello and tell me where you are in the world. If as I share, stuff is good for you, the content is good, it's resonating with you, it's stirring up your soul, then I want to know in the comments. If I'm stepping on your toes, then give me an ouch or two. But I want to know what is resonating with you because after all, I am here for you. All right. So with that, we are in our final part 6 of a series that I started 6 weeks ago called God Wants You to Profit. By the way, if you've missed any of the episodes, I'm going to always encourage you to go back and watch the previous episodes. You can go into my YouTube channel, which is nrjnetwork.com. Why? Because it was so much that I always break it down to 30 minutes. My goal is to be here 30 minutes, sometimes a little over on Monday nights. But it was so much that I broke it down into bite-sized pieces. So it ended up being 6 parts. And you need all 6 parts in order to go after the profit that God has for you. Listen, if you were here with me for the first episode, the word profit means to gain. To gain. So the goal is that as you gain, guess what? God gains. Only if you're doing the thing you are crafted and created to do, and you're doing it in the way that God ordained for you to do it. Mhm. That's what our whole conversation has been about. So, our conversation tonight, now here's our topic for tonight: the 4 quarter strategy to multiplication. The 4 quarter strategy to multiplication. Why is it 4 quarters? Why do you need? And yes, you need all 4. Mhm. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how God is doing this. I'm going to use some great Bible stories, but I'm also going to do a kind of a little bit of review so that you understand why I've shared this. Now, I see some of y'all are here and y'all are being quiet. At least tell a sister hi as I begin to share with you. All right. So, I am going to use slides this week because it's a lot. So, I want you to keep up and be able to take notes because after all, this is all about you learning and growing. It's not about you just watching it. I need you to be able to implement what I teach you. All right. So last week I shared this Bible verse with you. So this is a continuation of last week. Well, it's really a culmination of all the weeks we've been here. This is my mandate that God put on my spirit in 2018. Then God blessed them and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion. So last week we talked about have dominion. Again, if you missed last week, go watch it. Dominion means to supreme authority, absolute ownership. It's really to dominate in the lane that God created you to dwell in. Fruitful means producing good results, beneficial, profitable, producing an abundant growth. We're going to talk about that today, as well as multiply, increase or cause to increase greatly in number or quantity, to expand, to enlarge. Okay. So, because I have so much I can teach you on this subject, again, the goal is that we go after, let me go back to the goal as I teach you is to dig into this Bible verse because there's so much I can teach you. I'm giving you a gift today. I'm giving you a gift because I want you to not just walk away with what I'm going to teach you here, but again, many of you are watching this because either you haven't started your business yet because you have all these thoughts and ideas and you have nowhere to start. You have no idea where to start. Or you don't know what your niche is. You're not clear on what your purpose is. Or you haven't made predictable revenue if you've already started. So if you're in any of those places, I'm giving you a gift, which is what I call my DFM formula book, which walks you through what dominion, fruitful, multiply, right? How do you create multiple streams of income from what you already know? So go to dfmformulabook.com. I suggest you do it now so you don't forget. Open up another browser, whether you're on your phone, you on your computer, you're on your iPad or smart tablet, whatever. Go to dfmformulabook.com and all you've got to do is opt in and I'll give you the book and the book will walk you through in much more detail than what I'm going to walk you through tonight. All right. Now, again, our conversation is the 4 quarter strategy to multiplication. You're going to see me looking down in my slides. Now, let me tell you, as I was looking at all to really culminate what I've been teaching you in this series, God Wants You to Profit, what came to mind is my favorite sport. I said sometimes I say one of my favorite sports, but let me be honest, basketball is my absolute favorite sport. I like watching Super Bowl, but I can watch basketball anytime, anywhere. Hey, Chris. So when I started looking at the four things that are a must for you, I realized that basketball has implications that can teach you how to get in alignment with who God has crafted and created you to be. Okay. So, in order for me to help you understand it, let me give you a little history of basketball. Those of you that didn't know these things. Now, this is me. I did this research because some of this I didn't know either. Basketball was invented by Dr. James Naismith in 1891. Dang, basketball's been around for a long time. Now, when it first came out, originally only had two halves. So they played a half, took a break, and then and played a half instead of the four quarters that are in now. The change was made in early 20th century. So what I'm going to walk you through is how the four quarters of a basketball game can teach you what you need to do to live as the highest and best version of who God created you to be so that you can profit from what you already know. See, God wired you, and let me get off the thing. I need you to get this. God wired you and created you to profit. That's what I've been talking about in this series. And many of you are stuck in one of these four areas that I'm going to walk you through, and I need you to get this because without your ability to move it forward, you will stay right where you are, and that is not God's intention for you. So, with that, let me walk you through, but you guys know me well enough to know I'm gonna bring some Bible in. So here's our example for tonight, Miss Hannah in the Bible. Now, her stories in 1 Samuel 1, 2 through 20. That's a lot of Bible verses. So I'm gonna encourage you to go read the entire story. Now, her story actually extends beyond that. I'll tell you what I mean by that toward the end here. But here's the thing I want you to get. Here's my Hannah story summary. So she was married to a wealthy man. His name is Elkanah. Now, this wealthy man had a whole lot of wives, right? And imagine being married to a wealthy man. You can have anything you want. Mhm. So her life looked good on the outside. She had everything except the one thing she greatly desired, which was to want a child. Now, can I tell y'all something? If I go back to my mandate, Genesis 1:28, when God told me, be fruitful, multiply, have dominion, when God first put that in my spirit, I thought, wait a minute, Lord. I was 48 at the time. And I thought, wait a minute, Lord, are you telling me to have kids now? I thought I was done. I'm in perimenopause. What you mean, right? So I want you to understand that although Hannah's desire may have been to want a child, you are here, I'm clear, because your desire is to start a business or to grow a business. Your desire is to live on purpose, in purpose, and profit from your purpose. That's the child I'm talking about for you. Okay, I want you to get this. Don't miss your insight, your shift, because you're stuck on child for Hannah. I'm clear that is not what you're praying about. Okay. So she had everything except the one thing she really, really wanted. Okay. Now, listen, the other thing that Elkanah's other wife teased her and provoked her for not being able to bear children. Like, oh, you who you think you are? Okay, well, you can't even have kids. Can you imagine wanting something so desperately, and then the wife that's having all the kids is teasing you? Hmm. Right? And she didn't give up. She did what she had to do to see her desires come into fruition. I'm going to walk you through what that looks like as we look at the four quarter strategy. So I'm gonna walk you through both. Y'all with me? I didn't lose you. Say, Nicole, I'm with you. Those of you that are here live, even if you're watching the replay, say, Nicole, I'm with you. Want to make sure, right? So I'm using Hannah as our example. And I'm going to show you. And well, I'm gonna teach you the advantages to the basketball having four quarters, but I'm also going to teach you the advantages that you can learn that you should and is are a must if you're going to have a profitable, fruitful business. Listen, think about what fruitful means in basketball. Fruitful means you're scoring, that you're doing well, that you're rising in the ranks, that you're going to the playoffs. That's fruitful. That's what every basketball team is working toward. So my question to you is, what are you working toward? What's your goal? Mhm. I see you, Chris. I'm excited. Chris is in a program, so I'm excited. I get to talk to you tomorrow night, Chris. I saw you on my calendar, girl. I'm so excited. So listen, I'm not trying to get this. And here's what Chris says, so y'all won't miss it. I I've had a business pregnancy too long and need to give birth. So beyond excited that I'm gonna get to give birth with you. So excited. So listen, y'all. Listen. Let's talk about the four quarters, the advantages of four quarters. You ready? Advantage number one, strategy and tactics. So teams have an opportunity to analyze their opponents and adapt their strategies accordingly. Have you guys ever seen a basketball team and they ask for timeout? Or even dare I say when they're taking a break in between first quarter and second quarter, that the coach is calling the players over and walking through plays. What is he doing or she? They're walking through strategy and tactics because they've been watching the opposing team. The second thing that it allows coaches can study the strengths and weaknesses of the opposing team. I said this already, right? So I want you to understand this and listen. This is really what Elkanah, excuse me, what Hannah was doing. Hey, Angelia, Virginia. This is really what Hannah was doing, y'all. And I need you guys to get this. I need you to understand this. So, okay. So to implement this, you've got a choice to make. Do you attain or remain? So when I look at Hannah, does she do what it takes to go after the things she greatly desired, or does she stay where she is? That's really what the choice is for you as well. Here's what I know. Many of you have a stirring inside of you. Many of you have this stirring inside of you to start a business or to grow a business, and you're sitting in comfort. I need you to understand your comfort and your conviction can never coexist. You have a decision to make. Do you attain or do you remain? I'm sitting quiet because I need y'all to get this. Listen, your current position is not your long term destination. God always has more for you. The question is, will you do what it takes to go after your more? So let me make sure you understand. You guys know I'm big on definitions. Attain means to achieve or accomplish, to reach by efforts, but remain means to stay in the place that you already are occupying. And you've got to know the difference. You've got to know when where you are is done complete. Listen, those of you that have been around me a long time or for some time, you've heard me say this. Your purpose matriculates. There comes a time when where you are is done. It's over. It's complete. That's why you're bored. That's why you feel like something's missing because you're done with where you are. What's happening is God is stirring up. What's that Bible verse? Stir up the gift. We used to say this in my church. Stir it up, stir it up. God is stirring up your gift and saying, hey, there's more for you to do. That means you've got to attain and don't settle and remain. And that's what Hannah is teaching us here is she's saying, hey, I'm not going to settle for being barren. And many of you are in a barren place and you're settling for being barren. Barren in your business, barren in your desire, when God has so much more for you than where you are. So let me give you an example. One of my favorite people, y'all know this Venus and Serena. Y'all remember when they looked like that? So we often forget that Venus and Serena from Compton, California, they got to a place in their own career in their tennis journey where they had to choose to either remain or attain. See, remain meant, oh, I'm just going to keep practicing in this horrible, if you saw the movie on this horrible Compton court, I'm going to stay just with my dad teaching me. See, their father had taken them as far as he could take them. In order for them to go after the next level, they had to be willing to attain something different. If you want something different, you got to do something different. And because they did the work, is why we know them as who they are today. They set a goal and they did the work. They hired a coach. They trained. Listen, it's just like a couple other examples. You know, when I think about Beyonce, one of my favorite girls, y'all, I use her as an example all the time. But listen, from 9 to 19, sorry, I got things going off in my calendar. From 9 to 19, they practiced every single day before they got a record deal. Did the work. I can go on and on. Okay. So you've got to be willing to do the work to attain. It doesn't happen just because you want it. You've got to do the work to go and get it. See, what Venus and Serena show us is how to unapologetically activate your dominion. See, they did theirs. My question to you is, what are you doing to activate yours? So going back to our girl Hannah. Well, before that, let me tell you this. The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. God doesn't want you to be doesn't want poverty for you. He wants you to be wealthy. The pens of the diligent lead surely to plenty. God wants plenty for you. Hello, gain for God. Hello, profit. Y'all with me? So I need you to stop settling for where you are. I need you to do the work to go after your next level, just like Venus and Serena did, just like Beyonce did. Who do you greatly admire? I guarantee you that they don't settle. They go after their next level. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna show you Hannah in this in a minute, but let me just tell you this next step, and then I'll go back to Hannah, our example. Okay. So first is strategy and listen, I start throwing my papers on the floor, y'all. I start throwing my papers on the floor because I get excited. First is strategy and tactics. Okay. So that's step number one. Now, and this came from real, look, I did research. This is not me saying these are the things that helped with basketball went into the four quarter system, how it helped up level the game of basketball. Just like this same four-quarter system is going to up level the game called business ownership. Y'all with me? This making sense, y'all? Y'all quiet in the comments tonight. Y'all are quiet in the comments tonight. Y'all know me. I'm a church girl. I want to hear you. So tell me what's resonating. Tell me when you have questions. Say, ooh, ouch, ooh, that's good. Tell me something. Y'all are quiet. All right. So here's a second thing that helped. Thank you, Angelia. The second thing that happened the second way that basketball was enhanced by, excuse me, the four-quarter system. You ready? Commercial placement. See, it allowed for broadcasters to seamlessly integrate advertisements. And you guys know that commercials pay for basketball. All the salaries and all those things, a lot of that is from commercial placement. The third thing I want you to get that it helps with is fan engagement. See, the breaks provide an opportunity for halftime entertainment. All of those things because those halftime entertainments get sponsored. So I know you're like, well, what does that got to do with me? And what's that got to do with Hannah? Ooh, I need you to get this. Okay. So first you have to choose to attain it. Okay. I appreciate you, Chris. First, you got to choose to attain it. The next thing you got to do is position to obtain it. So once you say yes to attain it, you're like, I'm gonna do it no matter what. I know what's stirring in my spirit and my soul. I know that this desire, listen, God puts a desire in your heart, I believe, because you're meant to have it. Let me call, look, when I come off camera, y'all know I'm being serious. Listen, God gives you a desire in your heart because you're meant to have it. Look, I'm about to look up a Bible verse real quick because I wasn't ready, right? With this one, I love how God pops stuff in my head. And there's a Bible verse. Uh, hold on, y'all. I'm trying to find it real quick. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. That's Psalms 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. But here's the thing: I believe that seed that gets planted in you at birth, that has to do with your desire, the thing you greatly want. Is the desire. So for Hannah, she greatly wanted a child. And no matter how many times people said, well, your womb is dried up, girl. She didn't give up. What's deep is if you go read that Bible verse, they often say that God dried up her womb, but God never said he dried up her womb. So my question to you is what's that desire? Will you do what it takes to not just say yes to attain it, but then you've got to position yourself to obtain it. Now, listen, I said position to obtain it. And this is why I see so many entrepreneurs fail because I need you to understand it's not about social media likes. It's not about who can see you and how many fans you have on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or X rather, because it's not Twitter anymore. It's not about any of that. It's about positioning yourself the right way for the right people so they can see you as their answer. So let's go to Miss Hannah. Okay. So this is verse 1:8. Then Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart grieved? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? Here's what I want you to get, y'all. She did not hide what she was going through. And many of you aren't willing to tell your story. You aren't willing to let yourself be transparent. Somebody needs your story. Matter of fact, you are the answer to a group of people. If you let yourself be seen, they would say yes to you. Let me come off camera. I need you to really, really get this. See, what Hannah is showing us is what it looks like to be transparent, to be in the middle of going through and allowing people to experience it with you. It's because she wasn't trying to hide what she greatly desired. She wasn't trying to hide her journey. She's willing, no matter what, to do what it took, no matter who was looking. No matter if the ex-wife was looking, no matter if her husband was looking, she was like, listen, I'm gonna cry and weep and pray. And some of y'all are too busy wanting to make sure your lashes will stay on and your weave is tight. I remember one of my clients said, "Oh, Nicole, you snatch our edges." Well, yeah, sometimes you need your edges snatched. Right? So again, what Hannah's showing us here is that you got to be willing to do whatever it takes. Listen, 1 Corinthians 9:24. Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives a prize? Run in such a way that you may obtain it. Only one wins a prize in a race, but everybody's running like they're going to win. See, Hannah, no matter what she saw, no matter what she looked at, no matter what her situation was looking like, she was running to obtain it. Many of you aren't willing to do the work to run to obtain it. You're going to pray about it and pray about it and pray about it. But then God's going to say, so what you doing about it? God's only going to meet you when you do the work. Then he'll show up and show out. He wants to do abundantly above all, but he's looking at like, what you doing? Again, Venus and Serena could have kept playing in Compton, but when God gives you an opportunity to up level and hire someone that can help you, why would you stay where you are? Y'all get me? So when we look at how do you grow marketing, and I don't call it marketing, I call it visibility. It's allowing people to see the real you. You have nothing to hide, to prove, to protect, or defend. Nothing. I remember once a woman said, "Oh, Nicole, you're a lot." I am. You get a little bit of Jesus, you get a little bit of comedy when I'm not corny. And sometimes I like hip hop music, you get a little bit of that too. That's who I am unapologetically. And you get a whole lot of methodology and strategy. Why? Because I think in systems. That's how I'm wired. No need to apologize about it. But I'll also tell you the times I've failed in my business and the times I've done well. I'll tell you the times that I've made horrible mistakes, and I will share with you the victories. Because listen, there is no testimony unless you write test first. You can't even write the word. Try to write testimony and not write test first. Try to write the word message and not write mess first. Come on, somebody. So here's what I want you to get out of these first three that I really share with you is that Hannah was going through something so great. I believe when God is stretching you, it's a test. Do you really want it? It's not going to come in easy. It's going to come in your stretch. And Hannah had to stretch her faith. You know, faith is a tool. It is. I call it oftentimes see nothing days when God is stretching me. Listen, I'm in the middle of a stretch on my own, in my own self. And as God is stretching me, I realize He's stretching me so I can pour more into you. But if I'm not willing to do the stretch, it's not just me that gets held up. I'm holding up somebody's answered prayer, just like you are too. Woo, let me not go into that. Let me continue. All right. So, moving into number 4, fatigue management. And let me do a quick review. So, number 1, reasons why multiplication or 4 quarters helped. And this is also teaching you how to multiply. It's gonna make sense. I promise you at the end. Y'all hang tight. So the reason 4 quarters really helped up level the game of basketball. Number 1, strategy and tactics. Number 2 was commercial placement. Number 3 was fan engagement. Number 2 and number 3 had to do with positioning. Number 1 had to do with attaining. Y'all with me? So number 4 is fatigue management. By dividing the game into 4 quarters, players have chance to rest and recover. Because listen, the race is not given to the strong or the swift. It's given to the one that endures until the end. That's a Bible verse. Somebody write down where it is. I told you I studied the Bible for me, and then God has the nerve to tell me to teach it. And listen, I can always tell you it's in the Bible. Sometimes I might not know where it is, but that's in the Bible. Let me look it up real quick. The race is not given to the strong or the swift. Somebody knows to tell me. Race is not. I love that. Guess you could do this. Not given. It's Ecclesiastes 9:11. Race is not given to the strong or the swift. Come on and open up. Come on, thing. Race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. Now that's a new key. That's the King James version. Let me look at it in New King James, which is what I usually look at it in. And the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. Says the same, right? I'm sure a New International Version would be even more different. But again, it's not about who's the strongest, it's the one that endures. Okay. So here's what you need to understand here to implement this is you've got to maintain and sustain, but you need tools to do it. It's one thing for you to want it, it's another thing for you to have the tools to do it. So maintain means to keep in an existing state, to persevere from failure or decline. Because I'm going to be honest with you, there will be times that entrepreneurship is hard. I believe that the times that it gets hard is because the enemy is trying to get you to quit. Mhm. Because of all the people that you will bless. So you've got to be willing to maintain. Listen, if Hannah would have quit, let me not tell you what happens at the end. Sustain means is a little different. It refers to supporting or keeping something going over a period of time. So maintaining means I'm going to be here no matter what. Sustaining means to sustain that viewpoint over a period of time. Okay. So this is why you need a coach. This is why it's so important. So let me go back to Hannah's story now. This is verse 9 through 11. Now, Eli the priest, okay. Now, listen, the thing that I think is so deep is each one of these stories, some coach, some kind of way comes in there. So here comes Hannah's coach. Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the tabernacle, and she was in bitterness of soul. In other words, she was crying and praying and weeping. Then she made a vow and said, "Oh, Lord of hosts." She wasn't even talking to the coach, she was talking to God. "O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your maidservant and remember me and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a male child." She didn't just ask for a child. She said, "Give me a maid, give me a boy. I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall come upon his head." So I want you to get this. Not only was the priest present, there goes this positioning again, but it was the priest that coached her to her breakthrough as she made the vow before God. Okay. So let me make sure you understand these 4 steps. And I'm about to bring it home and wrap it up in a bow for you. Okay. Strategy and tactics. Fatigue management is what I just walked you through. And then fan engagement and commercial placement. This is what helped basketball to up level. It's by adding these 4 areas, by having 4 quarters in a game, it allowed for basketball to add these areas in that shifted the game as we know it. My question to you is, what do you need to add to shift the game as you know it? Let me show you how this shifted for Hannah. But before I do that, but you be strong and do not let your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. So let me show you, how was Hannah's work rewarded? How was Hannah rewarded? So verse 12, and it happened as she continued praying before the Lord. Now I'm reading around, y'all. She poured out her soul before the Lord. Then Eli, that same priest, said, now this was over some time. That's why I'm showing you how many Bible verses. Now, the thing about the Bible, it doesn't always tell you how long between verse 1 and verse 2 things happen, but it wasn't overnight. Then Eli answered and said, "Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition which you have asked of him." So listen, summary. So it came to pass in the process of time that Hannah conceived and bore a son, and his name was Samuel. And how many of us are still studying Samuel to this day? Okay. Now, because what did she do? She attained. She didn't remain. She didn't choose to stay stuck where she was. She didn't settle for where she was. She said, "I'm going to go after my goal." Then she did what it took to maintain and sustain. Found a coach, and she did the work, and she positioned herself to obtain it. And all of this speaks to the one thing you've got to understand: your ability to gain, to multiply. And this is why I'm teaching you this. So now I'm going to show you, y'all. Now, buckle your seatbelts. I get excited. The thing I think is so deep is that we serve a God that wants to exceed our expectations. So Hannah was just praying for a child. What she didn't realize is this: the Lord was with Samuel as he grew up. Now, this is Hannah's baby. And he let none of Samuel's words fall to the ground. And all Israel from Dan to Beersheba recognized that Samuel was attested as a prophet of the Lord. So not only was her baby, not only did she have a boy like she asked, but her baby was a prophet. Not only was her baby a prophet, but here's the thing I want y'all to get. Do you realize that Samuel is a prophet who would eventually anoint David? So Hannah had birthed Samuel. Samuel is the prophet that eventually anoints David as king. See, Hannah just thought she was praying for a baby. But what she didn't realize, I don't know what that is, all things lined up to bring forth a king. Everything she did lined up to bring forth a king. And David was one of the greatest kings, and she didn't realize I was coming. I need y'all to get this. Hannah was praying for one thing. You see what God does? He uses your gift to multiply. See, God is a God of systems. So what Hannah didn't realize is that her one act of faith not only produced Samuel and not only produced Samuel, listen, because she was praying that her son would be a man after God's own heart, but he was, but it was Samuel that anoints David. And if you've been around me, you've heard me talk about the story of David, that God sent Samuel to David's house. And he had to hear God because, listen, Jesse, David's father, had some pretty good looking sons. And so he could have thought, oh, well, this one's going to be the one that's king. He looks like king. And God was like, nope, not him. God went through every single one of Jesse's sons. David was out in the field tending to the sheep. And Samuel had to say, there's another son. But that wouldn't have happened had Hannah not prayed, y'all. I wonder if you realize that you are part of a system that God created. When you do what you do and you bless the people that need you, then they bless the people that need them, and on and on and on. That's the way God works. God's a God of systems. Listen, systems are created to multiply. So when the basketball league, the National Basketball Association, eventually decided to move into four quarters, it was to multiply the things that were working in basketball. Strategy and techniques means that coaches could play better, could strategize better. Commercials, they could make more money, including halftime. Hello. And listen, you got to be able to position yourself so people see you. And then also, it could help with managing the fatigue of players. Are y'all getting this? All four of those pieces allow the basketball league to multiply its efforts. Just like for you, when you attain, when you obtain, when you maintain and sustain, it allows you to multiply your efforts so that you do what? So that you actually gain for God. So here's my question to you. Do you know how you are the answer to a group of people who need you? Y'all listen, I put these together right before. So I saw all kind of typos in there. Listen, God, last week he gave me a whole different thing to teach. And then last night he gave me something different. And so this morning I was writing slides. So anyway, so you see some edits. But I need you to get this. Do you know how you are the answer and who you are the answer to? Those of you, because many of you, I've gotten comments, I've seen. I appreciate you, Chris, confirmation. Bringing tears. I love it. Tell me what's confirmation because I want to know, girl. I want to know. So I want you guys to get this. Those of you that are saying, Nicole, but I don't even know what my purpose is. I've seen your comments. So our next series starts next week. Do you know your power? So your purpose has power. So whether you're here live or watching the replay, I need you to put this. I think it's going to be a 4-part series. I'm saying think because what I think and what God thinks could be two totally different things. But I'm going to walk you through your dominion. We're going to focus in on it for 4 weeks. Why? Because you'll never get to that place that Hannah got to without you knowing your power and operating in it. Okay? So God wants you to profit, but your profit is based on the power that's already in you. And we've got to get you powered up, right? Because ultimately, everything I taught you here in this entire series, the entire 6-week series, is so that you can gain for God, in case you can't say that, in case you can't see that. Okay. So as we look at the 4-part system to multiplication, the 4-part strategy, I should say, to multiplication, let me just say it one more time. It's number 1, that you attain, or excuse me, the 4-quarter strategy. So 4 quarters, walking through basketball. And while 4 quarters shifted everything for basketball, it can be the same for you. You got to be willing to attain and not remain. Even basketball players don't remain. They watch their footage so they can improve and grow. Listen, I remember Kobe Bryant when he failed his first year. He didn't go to college. He got recruited out of high school. First year failed miserably. And I know people are saying, go back. You should go back and go to college because you're an MBA and you have no business being in the NBA. He didn't remain. He chose to attain. He did what it took to practice and increase his gift. Michael Jordan is the same way. Come on, basketball examples. Michael Jordan did not even make the JV team when he tried out. I think it was his 10th grade year. He could have remained there and said, okay, well, I'm not meant to play basketball. Nope. He practiced every single day, after school, all summer. He made the team the next year, and the rest is history. He chose to attain. But then you got a position to obtain it. It's one thing for you to make the choice, but then you got to position yourself so that you can actually obtain it. And then you got to do what it takes to maintain and sustain so that you do what? You gain. I hope this series has blessed you all. I hope you see why God wants you to profit, how you are the answer to a group of people, how when you say yes, it produces good result, which is fruitful. Which when you begin to understand how you need to do the work you need to do so that you can produce good fruit, that fruit, God wants to multiply it so you can do more, you can increase, you can serve more people, you can do more good in the world. If this has blessed you, I'm going to ask you to do two things. One, share in the comments how this 6-part series has blessed you, number one. Number two, share it. Share it, share it, share it. Share it because so many people need your insight. So many people need whatever it is that you have. Whatever it is that you've gotten here, imagine people in your tribe that might need it as well. So share it. Share it not because I'm trying to grow my social media following, but if I'm gonna be honest with you, I am trying to grow in my obedience to serve all the people that need me. And listen, y'all have people in your tribe that don't know me that need this content. So do me a favor and share it. All right. And then we'll start our new series next Monday. It's always my honor and privilege to be here every Monday, 7 p.m. EST. Again, share the one thing you got out of our conversation. And then join me next week for our new series. Do you know your power? Do you know it? Are you owning it? Yeah, we're going to talk about all of that in this series. All right. Have a good rest of your Monday. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.